everyone, welcome back to Voidheart Studios, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Marlin by Leedle Dynamics. I'm never done with stringers because, man, Bruce just keeps impressing me more and more every day. Yeah, this is the Marlin. This is a small crossbow style stringer, and it's a single shot. So let's get on with the overview. Starting with an overall shape of the blaster, or an overall, I guess, look at the blaster. Any Terraria fans might have an idea what this is based on. But for those uninitiated, this is based on the Hallowed Repeater from Terraria. The silver filament that was chosen ended up not looking as bright as the weapon from the game, but it still overall looks pretty accurate, and I'm not complaining. This is still a very cool blaster. Up at the front, there's no in-strike barrel lug. There is a pretty cool looking front muzzle. Going back from there, you have the bow arms. You can optionally have the Marlin without the bow arms, but it will be less compact, as the blaster would have to be longer to compensate. Above that is the top tactical rail, and below is the bottom tactical rail. And on these tack rails, I actually have some of Leedle's attachments attached to them. They have the attachments attached. I've attached the attachments. So up at the top is his sci-fi gothic sight, which is a pretty cool looking sight. It's completely hardware free. It uses a 3D printed pin. And down below I have Bruce's adjustable angled foregrip, which also is completely hardware free. It uses 3D printed pins. And actually, let me see, do I have something pokey? I do have something pokey. I have a pencil from my limited edition Crayola Colors of the World pencil set, which is so peak. See, you're gonna do is take something to get the pin out, and sometimes I worry I'm gonna break it because the person who printed this for me made sure the tolerances were real nice on it, real tight. So how this foregrip works is you can move the front and back pieces, and now it's just at a softer or a slighter angle, or you can move it back up and it be, you know, at a steeper angle. This foregrip was designed for the pike, which is another one of Bruce's blasters that I probably won't get because it's essentially just a stringer smiley. But yeah, this foregrip was kind of designed for / alongside the pike. The Marlin has its own foregrip. It's included in the files, I think. But I wanted this one to make it kind of look a little more smooth and streamlined like the Hallowed Repeater. Alright, moving back from that, you have the sort of trigger, grip, and loading area. To load the blaster, you push this hammer to the side, and then you pull back on the stock, or pull back and down, kind of ratchet it, and it opens the breech and pulls back the string. Then you can load in one dart, and once you close it, you can pull the trigger to fire your dart. Yeah. It's a very nice fluid motion, and even though it's a breech loader, you can get used to it. And just like all of Leedle's other breech loading stuff, you can load full-length darts into it, though it's not recommended because with the string travel being so long and this thing being actually pretty high power, for a non-plunger fired stringer of Leedles. You can have issues with the dart getting folded or bypassed by the string, and then you have to unjam it, which is not a fun process. Going back from there, you have the stock, which is a nice stock. It feels good. It doesn't feel overly short, but it is short, but it doesn't feel too short. And the blaster overall is very compact, so it's not like it's a problem. Hook point. It has a hook point. Yo. You can also get versions of it without the stock, though it'll still have to have the thumb hole because you need to have something to grab onto to be able to prime it. Though I would recommend keeping the stock because, I don't know, it's just nice to have a full-size crossbow and something that's not quite so front-heavy. Because, actually, with the stock, it's still front-heavy, but not super front-heavy. And this thing just feels lovely to shoot. And yeah, I think that's just about everything that I can give you for the overview. Let's take it out to the range and plink with it. Alright, I am outside with the Marlin, and as you can see, I'm in a different angle. Again, this angle will probably remain for quite some time. But I've got my target down here, and we're still going to plink. I'm going to start off with worker darts. Let's go. That bounced off of like the wire. Move, cat! No! There we go. Next up, nitro shot darts. Nice. Alright, the next darts, dart zone, ember darts. Oh, geez. Really hard. There we go. Terraria. And of course, the ones that I have been duly experimenting with in stringers. Nerf Strife X Pro darts. The darts that came with the Strife X. That went way up, and then it dropped for some reason. Barely went at all. Okay. That was the opposite of the strike game. And finally, I didn't fire. We try it again. It barely fired. Okay, so weirdly, the Strife X starts are bad out of the Marlin. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. Alright. Well, that's it for the firing demo of the Marlin. Let's take it back inside and we'll talk about it. Alright, we are back inside with the Marlin. Let's talk about it. First up, let's start with the practical. I put this blaster up over my chronograph and I achieved an average velocity of 121 FPS, which, if you've watched my previous Leedle blaster reviews, is a little higher than most. And I want to give it due in part of the fact it functions like a crossbow, and I think that makes it a little more powerful, and also the string has a very long travel. Like, for example, on the Satakili, the travel for the string is about half of what it is on the Marlin. Maybe a little more than half. Same thing on the Lanka V2. It still has a shorter string travel. And the Lanka V2 isn't much lower powered. And what's crazy is, this isn't even the peak. Bruce got his own copy to actually hit 150, which, for a basic stringer, that's pretty impressive. Like, in terms of FPS. I mean, yeah, it's a single shot, but for people who like to run single shots, and I know people who like to run single shots, I mean, there's a dude in my group, and he runs almost exclusively old vintage blasters, and his the one he runs the most is the Lock and Load, which I do want to get my hands on at some point, because the Lock and Load is a cool blaster. Anyways, yeah. In terms of practical stuff, FPS is high for a stringer, and it's rather consistent, and yeah, no jams or malfunctions, aside from if you load full-length darts in it, it doesn't like to behave, but it's not meant for full-length darts, it's meant for half-length darts, like all of Bruce's other blasters. It's meant for half darts. And it's just as quiet as most of his other stringers. Conclusive testing with the Strife X darts, bad. It doesn't like them. I don't think I hit I think I hit one of those shots. And then I had one that went way left, one that kicked itself up really high, and then just dropped down right in front of the target. I had one that barely fired, and then I had one that didn't fire at all. And that was, of course, in the firing demo. But, yeah. Let's get on to the impractical stuff. My opinion. My opinion is, I really like this blaster. Crossbows are cool. I used to have a toy crossbow as a child. And I think it was meant for some sort of foam arrow, but I always loaded Nerf darts in it. So I'd always find Nerf darts in the yard, and I would load Nerf darts into it, and I'd watch as it shot them, like, relatively hard. And so, yeah. This kind of brings a similar fun that did, and it's actually purpose-built for this, and it's really cool. And the files are like $6, I think. Bruce doesn't charge much for his files. But I mean, considering the blaster is literally... And this blaster takes almost no hardware, too. That's the crazy part with... But anyways, I think I have neurodivergently rambled enough. I'm tired. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe if you did. Comment your favorite Leedle blaster, as I say on all my Leedle reviews. I will try to leave links to the files for this thing in the description. With Etsy doing their stuff, I can't give you a listing for a pre-built version of this blaster, but if you play Nerf, someone in your group might want to print you one. If you have access to a makerspace, you can go get the parts from that, or you can go make the parts there for probably relatively cheap, and then build it yourself, because from what I remember from building the Gisela, Leedle has pretty good build guides. So, yeah. Marlin, get yourself one. And I will see you all in the next video, and until next time, have a good one.